Welcome everyone. Today's topic is the ultimate rehabbing workshop. I'm super excited and I have a lot of information to give you. So let's just dive into it, okay? We're gonna start with the most important subject, okay? Most people, when they see properties, they have no clue how much they're gonna estimate the rehab for. So I'm gonna give you some hints. I call this the $1 million secret when it comes to rehabbing. How you're going to be able to compute the rehab estimate. But we're going to categorize the rehabs into three types. Okay, so we're going to have light, average, and heavy. So the common denominator between the light and the average is carpet and paint, or flooring and paint. So when you open up a house, that's the bare minimum you're gonna need to do, okay? Flooring and paint. And obviously, the first thing, based on what I'm showing you on the screen, that we look at when we enter a property, I wanna see the kitchen and the bathroom. I don't care about the bedrooms, kitchen and bathroom. If we know that we need to upgrade or totally redo the bathrooms, right away, we enter into the average, okay? So that should be the first hint for you. When you look at a property, walk into the kitchen and then to the bathroom. Forget about the rest, okay? Because the rest, it's lighter, it's not as important. And the last category that we have is the heavy rehab. We call these the gut rehab, where you need to touch pretty much every single system, from plumbing, electric, HVAC, windows, roof, perhaps foundation, flooring. So we want to stay away from them, okay? And you know what? I'm just going to give you the analogy because I'm going to bring this back to in the presentation. Think about these as when you're buying a car, right? You can either buy a car that needs a little bit of work, a lot of work, or you also have the option to buy the car from a junkyard. So think of the gut rehab as the junkyard. You've got to need to do everything on the car, but is that what you really need to do? I mean, you've got to have specific, specialized skill sets to be able to take on a gut rehab. My suggestion, even if we have the crew, even if we have the experience and expertise, we are not taking gut rehabs because it's not where the money is in real estate, okay? Think about these dealerships. Do you think they make the money buying cars at junkyards, rebuilding the car from scratch? Of course not. They take trade-ins, they do a little bit of work, and then they put them back on the market. So they make the money when they buy really good cars in really good conditions, do a little bit of work and put a markup on it. And they do that in volume. That's how they make money. Guess what? It's exactly the same concept in real estate. You don't want to buy a property that needs everything, right? Even if you have the expertise, because that's not where you're going to maximize your profit and minimize your risk. It's the opposite. That's where you can lose your shirt. If you make a mistake, your real estate career can end in one deal. So that is why stay away from gut rehabs. So now let's dive into, I call this my $1 million secret when it comes to rehabbing properties. Okay, so you're gonna have three kinds of properties based on the size. So you have, I call these the small or right size square footage, which is less than 1,500. Then you have the medium between 1,500 to 2,500. And then you have the really big ones. Okay, so we want to stay away from the really big ones, 2,500 and up. We love to stay between 1,500 and 1,800. Okay, now why am I stepping into the middle section, 1,800? Because we love 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. So most of the houses that are 3 bedrooms are going to be a little bit over 1,500 square feet, more like 1,800 square feet, 1,700 square feet. And the reason why I love to be in this section is because of the following reason. Check this out. On the screen, we are giving you, make sure that you take a picture of this slide, Okay, so remember, we're going to be focusing on light and average rehab. We're going to forget about the heavy rehab or gut rehabs because they're just too expensive. They're going to be over 50,000. You're touching everything. You need to pull permits for just about everything: roof, fence, windows, plumbing, electric, HVAC, and the list goes on and on and on. So in other words, it's way too risky. So you want to stay in this sweet spot, okay? You want to buy properties, ideally 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or smaller, like 2-bedroom, 1-bath, but the rehab needs to stay average at the most. Ideally, obviously, you want to do light rehabs, right? So that you can do more deals more frequently. Think about the car dealership. They don't want to buy really bit of cars. They're not going to make any money. They want to buy good, decent cars in great condition so that they can put a really good markup on it. Okay, so this is the sweet spot. So as you can see, these numbers have worked wonderful for us. I'm going to make a disclaimer. This applies to B and C neighborhoods. Okay, I want to emphasize these. We have A, B, C, D areas. A being the most expensive, D being the most challenging. A neighborhoods, the numbers hardly work because they're too expensive. The rehab type and quality needs to be top notch. Therefore, these numbers do not apply to A neighborhoods like Norbrook, Glenview, Wilmette. Those are like super expensive neighborhoods. Numbers don't work. Deals are too risky even for a flip. So we're going to focus on B and C neighborhoods. So these numbers work amazing for those type of properties. So as you can see, we want to keep the rehab under 40,000 because guess what? To this number that I'm giving you, you always need to add a cushion. And this is the rule of thumb. If you're going to do a light rehab, you need to add to these numbers a $5,000 cushion for the unexpected items, right? There will always be unexpected items. So if you are doing a project for 15,000, add 5,000 to it. That's going to make you look good. And then most important, you want to come on budget or under budget. You don't want to be over budget in your projects. No, because that's not going to make you look good. Most importantly, your numbers can be affected. So always add a cushion. So for instance, if we're doing an average rehab, which for the most part, I would say over 80% of the deals we do are average or medium rehabs. So most of the rehabs that we do fall into this second category. That means we're spending about between 30 to 40,000 on the rehabs. There's been cases where we spent less than 20,000, so light rehabs, but those are rare cases. For the most part, you're gonna need to do the kitchen and the bathroom. So when you need to update kitchens and bathrooms, guess what? Right off the bat, you are into the medium rehab. So always add a $10,000 cushion. Always, just as a default, to be on the safe side. So for instance, if the property is, you walk into the property and it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, but it needs an update in the kitchen and the bathroom, right off the bat is 25,000 based on this table. Well, when you do your scope of work, please make sure that you add 10,000 to it. So it's gonna be 35,000. And guess what? It's gonna come extremely accurate. You might even come under budget, but you're gonna be looking really good. You don't wanna go over budget because when you have funding partners, that does not make you look good. Not only that, but on the back end, that may affect your numbers when it comes time to refinance. Okay, so super important. If it's a property that is over 1,500 square feet, your rehab estimate should be 45,000. So I'm taking the 35 plus I'm adding 10,000 for unexpected. Okay, super, super important. So now heavy, you know, the limit is the sky. So when you do a gut rehab, it's like opening up so many kind of worms that we're not interested in those type of deals. Okay, we're just gonna skip them because there are way too many deals that you can take on that are less riskier than the gut rehabs. Because think about these. Don't you think that if the money was on the rehab, that all contractors and construction companies would be financially free, right? But it's not the case. That's not where the money is. The money is on the light to medium rehabs where you do volume. That's the key for growth, okay? So now let's go into the next section. I'm gonna give you some examples as to what they look like, the light, the average, and obviously the good rehab. So let's do a light rehab. So this is a property in Cicero, okay? This is as is. When we bought the property, as you can see on the pictures, it doesn't need much work, but by default, the common denominator is flooring and paint. In this case, we just need to clean the flooring. We didn't need to do the flooring. We needed to do paint. As you can see, the kitchen, we did not update the kitchen. The only thing that we did was to put new appliances, but the granite countertop and the cabinets were as is. Obviously, we had to paint them, okay? The kitchen cabinets and the entire property was painted. Floor, I mean, the walls, the ceiling, kitchen cabinets. Here, the next picture is gonna show the living room. Again, all the crown molding was there, okay? There was a previous flipper who flipped the property and the buyer ended up defaulting on the property. So this property became an REO. So we bought it directly from the bank for $130,000. This property today appraises for $240,000, $245,000. Okay, so we have, as you can see, about $100,000 spread on this property, but yet the rehab came under $15,000, somewhere like $1,350. It was just primarily paint. HVAC work was about $1,500, and then some cosmetic work on the bathroom. So the bathroom was missing the mirror, the light fixtures on both bathrooms. But as you can see, the tiling, the vanities were existing. So we just changed the faucets, the mirror, and the light fixture. That's all we did on the bathroom. So to me, this is a very light cosmetic rehab because you are not redoing the ceramic, the flooring, you're not changing the vanity, none of that stuff. So you're just doing very cosmetic, of course, paint, okay? Paint is super important. This is an example of another property. This is in Mount Prospect. Mount Prospect is an A- neighborhood. We bought this property for $160,000, okay? And the rehab was $35,000. As you can see, the square footage of this property, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, is 1,700. So this is the ideal, okay? So 1,700, between 1,500 to 2,500, your rehab will be between 25 to 35, plus the cushion up to 45,000. This rehab turned out to be 35,000. So we bought it for 160, which was a steal, plus 35 for rehab. That puts all in, purchase plus rehab at 195. It appraised for 280. So we have enough back-end equity on this property. So what I'm going to show you is, let me play the video so that you can see what the property looks like. So that's just the outside, and we're gonna walk in the property from the back. So we're gonna walk into the dining table, okay? And then you're gonna see the kitchen and the living room. So that's the backyard. It's got a 1-car attached garage, but it's a solid 3-bedroom, 2-bath brick. So this is like the ideal property. It's a small brick in a great neighborhood. And obviously the sweet spot to buy 3-bedroom, 2-baths are below 200,000. It's got the condenser for the AC. in the back, which is great. So that tells you that you don't need to do anything with it if it's in functional condition, because that's about 2,500. Okay, so we're just about to go on the side behind the garage, and we're gonna enter the dining. Okay, so look at the flooring. It's in very good shape. Paint, it's in good shape, but obviously we always need to paint. So we're walking past the first bedroom. Now on the left is the bathroom, and then this is the second bedroom, and to the left is the third bedroom. As we check the property, we make sure there's no leaks. The bathroom, look at that, it needs updating. Now let's check the kitchen. The kitchen cabinets look so outdated. So right off the bat, you should know this is a medium rehab. To most people, this might be, oh, it's beautiful, it's a light rehab. No, 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 no. You've got to do the bathroom and the kitchen, put you into the medium. Look at the basement. The flooring is ceramic. Look, it's got laundry, really nice equipment. And in the basement, there is another bathroom. So that's the second bathroom and a fourth bedroom in there. So we're gonna walk into the fourth bedroom. That's a bar, and then that's where the mechanicals are. The water heater and the furnace. So they look in decent shape. They were in fact in working condition. And now we are gonna walk over to the fourth bedroom. But as you can see, we're looking for water or flooding signs. There's none of that stuff, which is great. So this is a finished basement right now. So we're walking into the fourth bedroom. It's kind of a small, 10 by 10. And then let's check the second bedroom. Second bathroom. Look, it's in pretty nice shape, but still, we're gonna update the vanity, the mirror, and the light. Okay, so now we're gonna show you, we're gonna go back up to the kitchen so you can get a better look for what the kitchen looks like. Look at the kitchen cabinets. There's no way we're gonna keep those. And the kitchen is enclosed. You see this wall right there, this green wall. You see the kitchen cabinets are old, and since you have that wall in the kitchen, it makes it look small. So I'm gonna show you what it looks after the rehab. So what we did is we open up that green wall in the kitchen and we put an island. So we made it look open space, the paint, okay? Now the recessed lighting, we put recessed lighting in the dining room and in the living room. Recessed lighting is about 125 per can. That includes labor and material, between 85 to 125, depending on the contractor. Now look at the paint. You see the wall on the living room. That's called a future wall. So you made it a different color, a darker gray. Overall, we did gray on the entire property. That's a trending color. And the kitchen, new appliances, new kitchen cabinets, backsplash, super important. It's a small kitchen, but we made it look a little bit bigger by knocking that wall. Now, when you knock off the wall, the village is going to ask you for architectural drawings. They're going to cost you about $1,500, okay, for architectural drawings. They want to make sure that when you remove a wall, that is not a bearing wall, meaning that it's not carrying the load from the roof, right? So that is super important. It's not as easy as just knocking the wall. You've got to make sure that it's not a bearing wall. Otherwise, you cannot touch it. So now let's walk over. That's a close-up of the kitchen. Again, The countertop, we did quartz because it's an A neighborhood. If it was a BC neighborhood, we would do granite. The difference is not much. It's about 30% more expensive to do quartz, but people in this neighborhood expect, really top quality. But other than that, we would have done granite. Granite looks really nice, but if you want to go to the next step, you do quartz on the countertop. So the countertop was about 1,700 because it's small, plus that includes the island, okay? All windows in this property were fine, and this is the updated bathroom. So we redid the shower. So it used to have a bathtub, we did a shower. That's a new trend. So people prefer showers over bathtubs. I don't know why, but that's just a new trend. New vanity, new light fixtures in the bathroom. Okay, so now we're gonna, on the numbers on this property, again, purchase price 160, rehab 35, all in 195, it appraised for 280, 283. So enough back-end equity to refinance this property. And this came from REO. So this was another bank-owned property that we bought directly from the bank. Now let's look at another property. This is in Elmwood Park. Elmwood Park, it's a B+ neighborhood, okay? This is a light rehab. So the square footage for this property is 1750, 1700, 1750 or so. So when I walked the property, I wanted to see the kitchen and the bathroom. Guess what? They needed to be redone. So right off the bat, I was at 35,000, right? That's what the table that you took a picture of shows. Between 1,500 to 2,500, it's going to be 35,000. But remember, you need to add a $10,000 cushion. So when I created the scope of work, I said 45,000. Guess what? This rehab came at 48,000. You know why? Because I knew that it needed windows. I mean, some windows needed repair or replacement, but I didn't think we needed to do all of them. Guess what? So I was under budget, over budget, because at the time I didn't think we needed to replace all the windows. We ended up replacing all the windows. That ended up costing about 7,500 for all the windows. So that was sort of like unexpected. I mean, I anticipated to replace one or two windows, but at the end of the day, we said, what the heck, let's do them all. Even though it's not a flip, it became a rental. We ended up doing the windows. So that's the front, that's the backyard. It does not have a garage, okay? So we bought this property for 150,000. Guess what? It just appraised for 280,000, and we put in 48,000 of work. So all in 198. It appraised for 283,000. I was blown away because this property, it's in a B+ neighborhood without a garage. The one in Mount Prospect that I showed you earlier is in an A- neighborhood, meaning a better neighborhood. And it appraised, and it has a one-car garage, and it appraised for a little bit less than this property. So I was like very, very surprised. I was expecting maybe the Mount Prospect to price for a little bit higher, hitting the 300. But anyways, we bought it for such a great price that still we had enough equity on the deal. So all in 198, it appraised for 283. We have over 80,000 or over 35% equity on this property. And this, again, was a bank-owned property. So we bought it directly from the bank. So as you can see, the numbers that I've been giving you, we're buying the properties between 130 to 160, and they're appraising for at least 100,000 more than what we're buying the properties for. And we do medium rehab, meaning less than 50,000. So that's the key formula for a home run deal. This is the $1 million analysis that I want you to understand. You buy the property, asking price, let's say, is 130. That property better appraised for 230, and the rehab should be less than 40,000. Okay, that is the secret to finding a great home run deal. Again, this property, 150 purchase price, 48 rehab, 198, it appraised for 280.83. So when we bought this property for 150, in my mind, I was thinking two things. Check this out. Am I gonna need to do the bathroom and kitchen? Yes. So my rehab is gonna be 35 plus 10,000 cushion. My rehab is gonna be 45. So I'm gonna be all in at 195 for this property. I was off by a few $1,000s, but on the back end, I said the second thing that I needed to know, it better appraise for at least 250 to 260. It appraised for 280, 83. So it's a home run deal. Does that make sense? So when you look at a property, these are the three things that you need to understand, okay? Make sure you write these down because this is gonna save you thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours. First thing that you need to know, what's the square footage of the property, okay? You wanna stay between 1,500 to 2,500 or less, okay? Second thing, do I need to do the kitchen and the bathroom? If that's the case, your rehab is gonna be 35 plus the cushion, 45,000. That's good, okay? Hopefully it's a lighter rehab if you don't need to do the kitchen and the bathroom, but over 80% of the properties we bought, we need to do kitchen and bathrooms. And there's nothing wrong with this because that's where the money you should spend in kitchen and bathroom because you're gonna double that investment, okay? So that's the second thing that you need to know, whether you need to do kitchen and bathroom to know where your rehab is gonna be like, whether light or medium. And the third thing that you need to know is from what I'm buying the property for, I need to add $100,000 and that should be the price point for the ARV. So if we bought this for 180, it should appraise for, 150, it should appraise for 250 and the rehab should be less than 50,000. That was obviously the case, but it appraised even higher. So that's the secret, that you make sure that you write because that's gonna make you look, think, and act like a pro, okay? When you nail those three numbers, square footage, rehab amount, and the ARV, okay? So remember, you need $100,000 spread on the deal, and that's gonna make it a great deal for a flip, for a rental, or for a wholesale, the one that you wanna pick. Now, let's dive into this property. So we ended up redoing the kitchen. It's a very small kitchen. There was no way to open up the space because otherwise, that's where the stove and the oven is sitting right now. So it's a small space, new appliances. The kitchen, this size, and the one I showed you in Mount Prospect, is gonna cost you between 7 to 10,000, okay? Just for appliances. I'm talking about stainless steel fridge, stove, oven, and dishwasher. Oh, by the way, the dishwasher is right next to the fridge, in case you don't see it, but it's right next to it. Appliances are gonna cost you 3,500 right off the bat, okay? If you add a washer and a dryer, add 1,000 more, okay? So appliances for the kitchen, 3,500. Kitchen cabinets are gonna be, for this size kitchen, are going to be 1,500. So right off the bat, we're at 5,000. Granite, this is quartz. We did quartz on this one. We spent 1,500 on the countertop, okay? So all in, 6,500 plus the labor. Labor was about 3,000 to put all this together. So we're hitting 9,500 on this kitchen, okay? So count it between 7 to 10,000, depending on how much work you are doing on the property. But again, you should account for average 9 to 10,000 for a small kitchen, okay? The next, bathroom. So this bathroom was a gold rehab. So we redid the bathroom. To do a bathroom from scratch is going to cost you at least 4,000. So we pay between 4,000 to 5,000. That includes labor and material. So I'm talking about the light fixtures, the vanity, the bathtub, the tile, the flooring, the paint, and the labor, okay? Between 4,000 to 5,000. This is this second bedroom. We didn't need to do much on this bathroom. All we did was to change the vanity, the mirror, and the light fixture. But we didn't do anything to the bathtub or the tile. That was all existing. Okay, so it's a 2-bedroom. This is the downstairs living area. So luckily it had hardwood floors. So we just sanded, refinished the flooring. So for flooring, you're gonna spend about 2,000 to 3,000. Okay, just any type of flooring that you do. If you're gonna do carpet, which we did on the second floor, carpet is about 1,500 to 1,800 for about $1,000 square feet. So I'll show you in just a second the second floor, but here is just plain flooring and paint. Light fixtures are important. In this case, we didn't need to touch the light fixtures. They were nice, so we kept the light fixtures. This is the basement, so the basement is unfinished. We never finish basements, okay? All we're gonna do is make sure there are no cracks. We're gonna paint the floor gray, and we're gonna put new appliances, okay? So washer and dryer, that's $1,000 for that. And then just making sure that the HVAC is in working condition. In this case, HVAC was in really good condition. All we needed to change is like the ignition, something in the pilot. It was just a minor work on the property. So before we move on to the next rehab, I just want to run the numbers again. Medium light to rehab is going to be less than 45,000. You are only doing kitchen, bathrooms, paint, some light plumbing, light electric. For this property, we did all new windows. When I talk about light plumbing and light electric, you're going to be spending about $2,500 to $4,000, $2,500 to $4,000 in light, what I call plumbing or electric. There's always that expense on plumbing and electric, especially when you have permits. We needed to pull electric, plumbing permits for this property, and also for the windows. You need permits for the windows. So 3 permits for this property. You want to make sure that you account for a light plumbing, a light electric budget. That is, I would say, average $3,500 each. You're going to be on the safe side. The village is going to have you maybe add GFCIs in the kitchen, additional outlets. They're going to have you maybe do some rewiring if you have conduit. So you just need to account for it. And then if you have galvanized piping for plumbing, guess what? You're going to probably need to replace that with copper plumbing. You may need to do some rough plumbing. You may need to do some rough electric. So rough plumbing and electric is like the core installation, right? So when you do rough electric, you may need to upgrade the service to a 200 amp, or you might need to change the service panel. Rough plumbing, you might need to update the piping that goes to the main line, okay? So you might need to do that. That is why you need to account a budget for at least, I would say, this is what we typically do, $3,500 for plumbing and electric, but it could be plus minus 1,000. That is why you always have to have a cushion. But when it comes down to doing your rehab estimate, please account for at least 35, 4,000, even if it looks really nice. Okay, always account for that, because with the visual inspection, you might not see behind the walls, behind the pipes, or inside the pipes, but there's always plumbing and electric work on every single property. Now, gut rehab, it's the following. Runaway. I call it just the runaway. This is what it looks like. You don't want to do this. Remember, it's like buying a car from the junkyard where you need to redo everything, put a new engine, redo the whole thing. So you don't want to take on these projects, because these projects are going to take you over 6 months. So at least 8 months. You're going to need to pull every single type of permit from electric, plumbing, HVAC, roof, windows, perhaps deck, fence. I just mentioned like 5, 6 permits right off the bat. So not only that, you're going to need to work with licensed electricians, plumbers. You may need to have a GC for sure to pull all these permits on your behalf for the overall remodeling. And not only that, but you're going to have tons of inspections. You're going to have a rough inspection for plumbing, a rough inspection for electric. You're going to have a building inspection for the entire property that checks insulation, framing. You are also going to have a finish inspection for plumbing and electric. You're going to have a roof inspector, HVAC inspector. The list goes on and on and on. So we stay away from these type of projects because that's not where the money is. You make money when you get a great deal on the contract, not when you buy a property that needs everything to be done. Because we're in the business of investing, right? We're not in the construction business. You're not a contractor, or maybe if you are, or if you own a construction company, perhaps. But even then, even if you own a construction company, that's not where the money is in real estate. You need to be in and out of deals. I've met very experienced investors who have a construction company, okay? Guess what? They don't take go rehabs anymore. They like to do the in and out, in and out, in and out, because again, it's volume. Think about the car example that I gave you. Dealerships, right? They want to do volume. They want to buy good quality cars, put a little bit of money and resell it for a great markup. That's what you want to do in real estate as well. Do you think car dealerships buy junk cars from the junkyard? Of course not. Are they going to spend months fixing a car? Of course not. They want to be in and out. They want to do volume. It's the same thing in real estate. You want to mimic what the dealerships are doing, okay? So we stay away from these type of projects. When I look at the pictures, that's the first thing that I want to see. Show me. If I see framing, if I see piping everywhere, thanks, but not thanks, okay? There are way too many other deals that you can buy that are not go rehabs, okay? Now, there are some questions. How do you consistently find reliable and competent contractors? Who can do your rehab in a timely manner? Okay, Said, great question. We have 2-3 reliable contractors like GCs. But not only that, guess what? I have a big surprise for everyone on the line. We have a great attendance. We have 49 people on the line. So guess what I'm gonna do for all of you? We have added, as of this morning, 26 new contractors that we have used, that we currently use. We've added those, and we're gonna make those available to all of you today, okay? So these are people that we work with, that they know us, they give us great pricing. Most importantly, they do quality work, they do it on a timely basis, and they're licensed and insured, which is super important, right? Especially when dealing with permits at the village. So thank you, Dr. Said, great question. And I'm gonna show you all the categories that we have added for all these trades, from carpentry, plumbing, electric, flooring, HVAC, you name it. So I'm gonna share those with you at the end. Okay, another question is, your sweet spot doesn't include rehab costs, correct? Sweet spot equals purchase price. Okay, great question. So our sweet spot to buy properties is between 130 to 160, okay? The properties in that price range should require a medium rehab, no more than 40,000. That is the sweet spot. Not only that, but they should appraise for more than 250,000. Between, obviously, we buy it for 130, it should appraise for at least 230. So they will appraise 100,000 more than what we pay for the property. So between 230 to 280 should be the appraisal value once we put in about 40, 45,000. Okay, so sweet spot to maximize your return, minimize your risk, is buy the properties between 130 and 160, okay? You can buy properties for cheaper, but guess what? If you need to put over 50,000 in rehab, even if the numbers come the same, it doesn't make sense, right? I'd rather pay a little bit more for a better quality property, okay? Super, super important. People get, oh, you know, so excited, I'm buying this property for 70, 75, but it needs like 80 in work. Thanks, but not thanks. Buy, spend more money, pay a little bit over 100, but in a better condition, shape, location, property. Okay, super, super important. We've learned this the hard way. We bought properties for obviously less than 100,000, but we ended up putting over 50,000 in rehab. They became a nightmare. Okay, so I'm just telling you the sweet spot. Great question. Another question is, what if you need to do kitchen, baths, and all of mechanicals? Oh, great question. Guess what? You're gonna need to spend about 8 to 12,000 per system if you're starting from scratch. If you're doing the new HVAC system, meaning water heater, boiler, and the AC unit and duct work, you're looking at $12,000, 8 to 12,000. If you're rewiring the house for electric, 8 to 12,000. If you're redoing the plumbing, rough plumbing, finished plumbing, again, 8 to 12,000. If you're doing new windows, 8 to 12,000. New roof, 10,000. Every time you touch a new system, you're adding 10,000 to your rehab estimate. Okay, great question. Another one is, what about if there are multiple bathrooms? So when you have multiple bathrooms, each bathroom is going to be 4 to 5,000. Okay. Ideally, you buy a property with 2 bathrooms. It's more marketable for rent and for sale. Another question is, how much were each permit? So that depends on the village. They vary from 150, I've seen, all the way to 450. And some villages, they have you give them the scope of work, how much, it's actually a contract between you and the GC, and they're going to charge you a percentage of it. Okay, that's going to be their permit fee. It's a percentage of the entire rehab amount. But every village is different. Some villages are going to ask you for a cash bump up to $10,000 that you need to put down when you start the work. But that brings me to a great point. Please make sure you always, before you start the work, pull permits. You need to be in good standing with the village, because if you don't, neighbors are going to call the village and they're going to say, you know, I see debris, I see garbage, I see people working on the property. You're going to have an inspector right in your property next door, and they're going to put a stop order on the rehab. Once they do that, they're going to fine you. They're going to send you to court. They're going to make your life miserable. You don't want to be in that position, especially if you're going to buy more than one property in that neighborhood. You need to be in good standing with the village, because the inspector is going to get to know you. Okay, so please always pull the permits. Don't upset the village, don't upset the inspectors, okay, because they could be your worst nightmare, because they might want to do further inspections. They might want to bring more inspectors to what it should be a simple inspection on the property, because they want to find a lot of problems if you get in their blacklist. So the way to avoid that, always pull permits. Tell them what you're going to do and just pull the permits, pay the fees. You have 2 options when pulling permits. Either you use a GC to pull the permits, or you can do a homeowner. If you do the homeowner permit, it's going to be cheaper, but you cannot do plumbing or electric as a homeowner, because they're going to need a licensed plumber and electrician. All the contractors need to be licensed, bonded, and they need to be registered with the village. Okay, super important. And we're going to talk about how to find great contractors next. Okay, but again, always pull permits before you start the demo work. Super important. You don't want to start any demo work. You don't want to bring dumpsters in the property before you pull permits. You also may need a permit for a dumpster. Okay, super important to know, because you want to do things the right way. There are no shortcuts in this business. If you take shortcuts, it's going to come bite you down the road, okay, by taking you to court, paying fines. And you want to build a good reputation with the village. Okay, they are going to be your best partner. Okay, next, are you working with licensed contractors? Absolutely. Are you factoring realtor fees? Okay, so we're focusing, Brian, primarily on buy and hold. Okay, so we just pay leasing fee when we have a leasing agent lease the property for us, or we can also lease the property in the MLS. So we're not selling the properties, we're just buying and holding the properties. But great point. So when you're gonna do a flip, you still, if you have that $100,000 spread, even if you pay the selling expenses, which are about 8% of the selling price, when you have $1,000 spread on the deal and less than 50 in rehab, you're going to be making at least a 20% return on the flip, which is the minimum required for you to take on the project. Okay, so if you sell it for 200,000, 20% of 200,000 is 40,000. So the minimum return on investment on a flip should be 20%. Okay, so now let's dive into the next section, which is what you guys were asking. How do you hire the perfect contractors? Okay, so make sure they do quality work. Okay, that is super, super important. And you need to look at their previous work. So they may send you pictures of what they've done in the past, but quality is number one. So the way we work with contractors when we test a new one is that we give them a small project. Never, ever, ever give them a big project to a single contractor. Always give them a small project, check the quality, make sure they do it timely, and the price, okay? But the quality is a big deal. On our first rental, we hired the worst contractor. We ended up redoing everything he did. So it ended up costing way too much. The second thing that we like to see is that they are team players, okay? So we wanna make sure that we can work together, they have great communication, they tell you everything up front, okay? You don't want to find out any surprises during the project. Number three, obviously over-communicate with them. Everything that you have in mind, communicate with them because when you have the project going on, there are gonna be add-ons, okay? So you wanna make sure that you clarify, okay, we're gonna need to do this and this, I want you to do these extras, how much are you gonna charge and when are you gonna complete them? Over-communicate with them. Ideally, you get people that are owner-operated, okay? So you work with the people, you hire the people that are gonna be doing the work, okay? So sometimes contractors hire subcontractors, okay? So you're dealing with subcontractors. You wanna hire the people who are gonna be doing the work, okay? That is super important because they're gonna guarantee the quality is there. We've had cases where we hired one guy and that guy hired somebody else, so the quality is not there. You always want to work with the owner-operator, okay? Next, you want contractors who value repeat business, okay? You don't want contractors who want to do one project and that's it. They want to move on to the next one. You want people who value repeat business because you want to build a long-term relationship because guess what? Contractors are the biggest headaches for real estate investors, okay? Timeline, that is super, super important. And I want to emphasize the timeliness. This is what I've seen investors make a big mistake, okay? So they hire this contractor because they're giving them a better price, a cheaper price. But guess what? These contractors are gonna take multiple jobs. So they're gonna go to your project for a few hours and then they go to the next one and they come back to yours and then maybe they skip a day and they go to the next one. So they don't finish the project on time. That's gonna end up costing you way more than if you were to pay for a better quality contractor that does the job on a timely basis. That is super, super important. We've got the case where a project should have been done in a month and a half, but it ended up taking 2.5 months, one extra month, okay? So you wanna avoid that by making sure they are there in your project, okay, when they say they're gonna be, and that they are doing the things on a timely manner. Super important. And obviously the next point is contractors that stick to the budget, okay? So they're gonna give you a written estimate. You wanna make sure that you stay under the budget. Obviously you need to have an unexpected cushion, as I mentioned earlier, because there will always be kind of worms that when you start the rehab, you find out, okay? But it's okay, it's part of the business. That is why you have to have that cushion, but you wanna make sure that the contractors stay on their budget from what they gave you originally. The quote they gave you, you wanna make sure that they stick to that, okay? Super, super important. And then one of my wish lists is that you don't need to pay them upfront for the work. So let's just explain what this means. Many investors have made the mistake of paying over 50% upfront before they start the work. And guess what? The contractor never comes back. So they end up losing thousands and thousands and thousands. So you want to make sure that you work with somebody reliable. There are going to be some type of works that you do need to pay in advance. Like for instance, when we did the windows in Elmwood Park, we had to pay 50%, okay? That's okay because the person we work with is so reliable, we don't have a problem with it, which we're gonna share with you, by the way. So you pay 50% for windows. Also, when you do HVAC work, some of them are gonna ask you for like a 20, 30% down payment. Since we've done business with them for a long time, they don't ask us for any money upfront. That's how I like it, right? I want them to put the equipment, do all the labor, and once the system is in working condition, boom, I pay them off. Okay, 100%. So, but some of them are gonna ask you at least for the material. So it depends on the contractor, but as a wish list, I don't want to pay upfront for any of the material or labor until it's completed, okay? Something that is important that we do and that has worked tremendously well with our contractors is that we pay them on a weekly basis. You know, contractors live on a paycheck to paycheck, okay? So you don't wanna hold their money, right? You don't wanna drag their money because they also have families to support. You wanna make sure that if you find a great contractor, you pay them on time every Friday, okay? I've heard some investors, they want to pay on a monthly basis. That doesn't work for most contractors. Again, they go on a day-to-day basis. So you want to pay them on a weekly basis and they're going to love it, okay? But please make sure you never ever skip a payment. You pay them as soon as they finish the work, boom, you pay them. You don't want to monkey around with their money. They've done the work, they fulfilled their work, their worth. You want to fulfill yours. You want to pay them ASAP, okay? The next day or the same day. That's how we just sell the payment. As soon as they finish, boom. Every Friday, boom, we pay them as the project progresses, okay? Super, super important. So once you find a great contractor, you've got to build a great relationship with them by paying them on time, okay? Otherwise, they're not going to come back and work for you. And then if you nickel and penny them, they don't like that. I mean, it's good to negotiate, but you also need to be fair. Once you get a great deal on the contract and you're accounting for the rehab, don't nickel and penny them because then they will not want to work with you. Okay, super important. Just pay them fair prices. That is why I'm sharing fair prices of what we spend for the rehab so that you have the same idea. Next, again, creating the rehab on a timely manner. We're going to go over some of the important things that you need to consider. Number one, pull permits. I mentioned that earlier. Once the permits are issued, boom, have the demo crew ready to start the work ASAP. Okay. Now, always be thinking about your timeline 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time. So what are you going to do next? So for those of you who do not know what the timeline is for a project, I'm going to give it to you. So once I display these all on the screen, make sure that you take a picture of it. But because everything on the rehab has a sequence, okay? Let me give you an example. You cannot do all the kitchen cabinets before you paint, for instance. So you cannot do all the drywall after you do the flooring. So everything has a sequence. So let's just show you what it is. Okay, so make sure that you close and then start the demo work. Next, focus on the bathroom and the kitchen. Okay, so I'm putting the timeline. Then do the electric and plumbing work. Right here, I'm talking about the rough plumbing and rough electric. So these are the core pieces of plumbing and electric. That needs to be done. And in fact, you're going to have an inspection for rough plumbing and rough electric before they do the finished plumbing and finished electric. Okay, so again, rough plumbing are the bigger pipes, the big pipes, the main main pipe, okay? Rough electric, service panels, okay? That's what it means, new service line. Then do finish the bathtub, do all the finished plumbing. Drywall comes next. Next, tiling, flooring, okay? So wood floor or vinyl floor. Then start moving on to the countertops, granite, quartz, and then put all the kitchen cabinets. And then electrician, okay? So you go back to the electric to do the finished electric, meaning the light fixtures, everything that is gonna be just superficial that you can see. That's called the finished electric or finished plumbing. In this case, like faucets, all that stuff is finished plumbing. Light fixtures are finished electric. You bring that towards the end. Next, paint. Paint is gonna be done last, okay? And finally, you get all the inspections scheduled, okay, from the village. As soon as you finish the work, bring the inspectors, make sure that everything is up to code, get all that approved so that you can even market the property for rent or for sale. So make sure that you take a snapshot of this timeline when you do your project. So for instance, you're not going to do the paint first. So this is something that you need to understand and communicate to your contractors, the timeline, okay? I'm sure they know that, but we've had cases where they have it all reversed, okay? So they want to start doing painting before they do the flooring. So that doesn't make sense. So we want to make sure and communicate with them, hey, you know, I want to make sure that you do the rough plumbing, rough electric, you bring the licensed plumber, electrician, before you do the paint. You want to do the flooring before you do the paint. You want to do the kitchen cabinets, but at the same time, you also bring the guy who's going to do the countertop, okay? Two different people. One guy is going to do the kitchen cabinets. Another guy is going to do the granite or the quartz countertop. So this is a timeline. Make sure that you take a picture of these. Now, let's talk about where you need to put your money on the rehab. Okay, number one, as you can imagine, is going to be kitchen and bathrooms. You are going to double your money when you put the money in kitchen and bathrooms. So as I told you, for a kitchen, you're going to spend about average $10,000, $9,000 to $10,000. But when it comes to the appraisal value, when you put a new kitchen, that's going to add at least $20,000 to $25,000 in appraisal value. So you're going to double your investment when you put the money into kitchens. Not only that, guess who the decision maker is when somebody's going to buy or lease a property? Women. You know, most men, they think they're in charge, but we're not in charge, guys. Sorry to say that. Women are in charge. They make the call when it comes to choosing a property, and guess what they love the most? Kitchens and bathrooms. So you want to please women as much as possible by giving them a beautiful finished kitchen, okay? Bathrooms, again, bathrooms are going to be $5,000 average, $4,000 to $5,000. They're going to add at least $10,000 to $15,000 in appraisal value on the back end. So this is where you need to put your money. And again, when you look at a property, these are the first two rooms that you need to look at. Do I need to update the kitchen? Do I need to update the bathroom? If the answer is yes, that puts you into a medium rehab, which if it's less than 1,500, is going to be 25,000. But if it's between 1,500 to 2,500 square feet, it's going to be 35,000. But remember, you need to put a cushion for 10,000. So your rehab is going to be at least 35,000 to 45,000. Okay. So the minimum that you're going to spend when you open up a property, even if it's a light rehab, is going to be 15,000 right off the bat. There's nothing such as a rehab less than 15,000. That does not exist. Okay. That might be 1% or less. At least 15,000 all the way to the sweet spot I found that is between 30 to 45,000. Okay. That's going to make you think, look, and act like a pro. When you say my rehab for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath is going to be 45,000, and it's a medium rehab, like the video that I show you, even though it looks really nice, even though it looks like in a moving condition, no, you've got to do the kitchen, the bathroom, rehab, 35,000 right off the bat. Any unexpected items, add another 5 to 10,000. So rehab on the property is going to be at least 40,000. This rehab on the Mount Prospect property came out to be 35, so it came right on the budget. Okay, next, flooring. I recommend, we love this flooring. It's hardwood engineered flooring from Home Depot, lifetime warranty, waterproof. It's less than $2 a square foot. It's amazing. Okay, we put that throughout on every single rehab. Okay, so flooring, it's important that it's waterproof, lifetime warranty, hardwood. It looks like hardwood, but it's not hardwood floor. It's engineered hardwood floor. Home Depot. Okay, we love Home Depot. That's the first place where you need to put your money. Paint. Make sure that you do a feature wall. What I show you in the Mount Prospect property, paint it a different color. Make it stand out. Just one wall in the living room or dining room. It's gonna make your property very trendy, look very modern. Also, open a space. If you have a wall in the kitchen, try to get rid of it if possible. Okay, we do that time after time after time. When you look at the kitchen and it's in an enclosed room, see every possible way to remove it, okay, without losing storage space. Also, I've seen houses where you walk from one room to another one, let's say from the living room to the dining room, and there's like an arch, right? Try to knock that off, okay? Make it open space. Most of the arch are not bearing walls, okay? So you're gonna be safe, but still always check with your GC, and you may need architectural drawings as well, just to prove that. Next, curb appeal. This is one of the biggest mistakes investors forget about. Curb appeal. When you pull in front of a property, if it has a nice landscaping, it gives you start with the right foot. It gives you a good sense, just like love at first sight, right? It's the same thing. When you look at a property for the first time, you may fall in love with it, right? So you wanna, that's the feeling that you wanna convey to other people. First at love sight. You wanna make the curb appeal very nice through landscaping. Many people always or oftentimes forget about making it look nice on the front, right? So do the landscaping, make sure that the porch, the staircases, the handrails are painted, the brick looks nice. Spend about $1,000 on curb appeal. Is gonna make your money 2-3 times worth it, okay? Curb appeal, super important. Landscaping in the front. Lights, right? Sensor lights in the front, super important. Just these things that are very cosmetic, inexpensive, make a big difference. Put always a new mailbox, okay? Things that will help the curb appeal, okay? Before you enter the property, you feel like, whoa, this is nice. You're gonna make people feel like, whoa, this could be my home. I'm gonna rent this property. I'm gonna buy this property, okay? But if you pull to a property where you can hardly see the windows because all these bushes growing out of control, or it doesn't have not a single bush, I mean, it's just not appealing, right? So have this curb appeal look very sexy for your property, and it's gonna pay off big time, okay? Let me check questions on the chat. How do you locate these properties, Jonathan? So as I mentioned earlier, we're buying all these properties primarily from banks. Right now, we're buying all the inventory lately from REOs, directly from the bank. So we have access to REO inventory, bank-owned property, so they foreclosed the property and the banks took over the property. We're buying these properties directly from the bank. So we have this inventory in ChicagoDealVault that you can buy the properties directly from the bank. And most importantly, we know how much the bank is going to sell them for, even though those properties are already listed in the auctioning sites like auction.com, Hubzu.com. We can buy the properties directly from the bank at the reserve price. Whatever the price is, wants to sell the property for, we're going to buy that property for that price, regardless of what people are bidding on the auctioning sites. That is extremely powerful. We've been able to buy over 7 properties in the last year that way. We have another one on the contract that we're pulling that way. So we're going to have a special session on that. How to buy properties from REOs. But I'm going to quickly show you where that inventory sits. And if you're interested, we can give you access to it just for you to test drive it. Okay, another question is, these prices you are sharing, are they accounting for GC? Are you your own GC? No, we have a GC, okay? Having a GC license is expensive. It's gonna cost between $2,000 to $3,000 just for the insurance. To be licensed as a GC is gonna be $2,000 to $3,000 a year. So no, we have 2 GCs that we use. They pull all the permits, okay? And they have licensed electricians and plumbers, okay? So always try to use a GC. In the past, we pulled some homeowners permit if the rehab is very minor, where it's just remodeling. We're not doing any plumbing or electric. Then you can pull your own permits. It's gonna be easy and cheaper, okay? But if you're doing plumbing or electric work, they're going to require a licensed, bonded plumber, electrician registered with the village. Okay, you cannot do that type of work. Great questions. Okay, so are there any other questions on the line? So let me show you. We have a great attendance that are sticking to the end. So let me show you what I've prepared for you, because that was one of the questions at the beginning. Where do you find these contractors? Okay, I'm going to show you where we have them for you. And something that is important, once they complete the work, that they have to give you a lien waiver. Okay, so we have that form available for you. They need to sign a lien waiver because that's going to be a requirement from your funding partner. Okay, they want to make sure that they're not going to file a mechanics lien. Once you pay them off, you don't want them coming back and filing a lawsuit, meaning a mechanics lien against your property. So they need to sign off a lien waiver stating that you've paid them what you agreed for upfront, and that's simple. You always need to do that. We always do that. Even we have a great relationship with our contractors. So let's get to this. Where are we finding these properties? Right here, shadow inventory. Okay, these are target. We're getting about 300 to 500 properties a week from large banks. So right here, we got 363 properties this week. So we are going through these properties and we're just cherry picking the best properties on a weekly basis. And in fact, we have a spreadsheet right here where we identify the ones that make sense. Right here, out of the 300 that we get on a weekly basis, we just pull the ones that make most sense. Some weeks we find no deals, but at least we're checking them. Like this one in Nashville, Burbank, right here, came up on October 22nd. Boom, we're pulling that. We have this on the contract to close in a week from today's time. Okay, Burbank is a great neighborhood. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. It needs medium rehab because we need to do the bathroom and the kitchen. So this is something that you can have access to, buy these properties directly from the bank, even if they are large banks, because guess what? You see this reserve or target, we tell you how much the bank is gonna sell it for, which is huge, right? Despite what people are bidding on the auctioning sites, they're engaging in a bidding war. You will never, ever overpay for the property. So we know how much the bank wants. We know what the appraisal value is. If we see that spread of at least 80 to 100,000 and the rehab is medium, boom, we go for it. Okay, so you can have access to that. Now let's dive into the contractors. Today's topic. We've added many categories and many contractors. So let me show you. We added right here carpenters. So we added a couple of them. We added 3 carpentry. We added electricians. We have 4 electricians that we use. Flooring. Some of our best guys that we use for flooring. We have well, 6. We typically work with at least 3 of them. GC, we added 3 GCs in there. We have heating and cooling right here. We have 2 that we use. What else? Oh, masonry, tuck pointing, 3 of them. Mold remediation, we have 3 of them. Pest control, we have 4 of them. Plumbing, we just added 3 more, okay? So these are licensed plumbers that we've used. What else? Oh, roofers. Obviously, we always need roofing repairs. So we have 5 of them. We added small maintenance. These are like handyman that we use. Boom, 2 of them. Structural engineering. So they're gonna do your architectural drawings for you. So we have 2 of them. Tuck pointing. We have only 2 of them. Windows. Window repairs and new windows right here. So this is where we get our windows from. Oh, did I show you the cabinets? Some people, cabinets, right? Right here, cabinets. This is where we get our kitchens done. And Jorge, right here, he does our countertops. All our countertops are done by him. So we get awesome pricing, and you are going to be getting awesome pricing. So pretty much we added 27 contractors this morning, as of this morning, and we're gonna add about 10 more by Monday, okay? So we are sharing all our resources. These are better contractors we've used in the past. We wanna make sure that you can leverage from this. And I wanna thank Dr. Said, who is on the line, because we got on the call with him, and then he said, hey, you know, Hugo, one of the biggest pain for investors is contractors, right? We're struggling finding great contractors. It'll be great if you share your contractors, if you share reliable contractors that we can utilize. Boom, we made it happen. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Said, for your recommendation. We share everything. We share our strategy. We share our contractors. We share everything we've done. You know why? Because we were in your shoes about 2.5 years ago. We built a rental empire of over 30 properties as of today, okay? And we are just like you. We were in your shoes about 2.5 years ago. So I know what it's like. I know what you're going through. That is why we're sharing everything we've done, our strategies, resources, everything, so that you can replicate our success and even make it bigger and better than us. So I want to make sure that you find great home run deals, that you never overpay for a property, that you get qualified contractors to do your rehabs so that you can achieve the same freedom, okay? Particularly freedom of time. Do what you truly enjoy in life. That's what we all are all about. That's my compromise to all of you. That is why I'm fascinated by giving you everything we've done so that you can make it better, okay, for yourself and your family.
Thank you so much
so that you achieve that financial freedom and freedom of time primarily, okay? Are there any other questions? Lisa, have you negotiated better prices? Absolutely, absolutely. So when you mention, thank you, Lisa, for mentioning that. So when you mention DealVault, or you can mention Frida, my name, Hugo, they're gonna give you better pricing, okay, for sure. So we negotiated better pricing. Why? Because we give them volume, okay? So thank you. Make sure that you mention that. Eric, on the shadow inventory, if the property is listed as occupied, do you need cash for keys? Great point, Eric. Do members have access to the spreadsheet? Joanne is asking. What spreadsheet, Joanne, are you referring to? And then Eric, great question. Sometimes the shadow inventory, it says occupied. Guess what? I've gone out to the property. In fact, the Elmwood Park property said occupied on the system. I went out, it was vacant. I talked to the neighbor. They said, oh yeah, it's a family that moved out 3 months ago. So even if the system says occupied, please check it. And if it's occupied, you've got to strike an agreement with the owner or whoever is living there, and you do cash for keys. In fact, guys, we did cash for keys over the weekend. That was on Saturday. We paid $3,000 for this property, the one that we got on the contract from Shadow Inventory, the one on Burbank. It's 8546 Nashville Avenue, Berkman. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. We paid $3,000 to the tenant. They emptied the property. They gave us the keys. We handed the check. We secured the property. We put new locks. We're expected to close next week on that property. So guess what? We're going to have a really cool meeting for those of you who are interested in wholesaling. We're putting together a new inner circle of wholesale. So ChicagoDealVault is going to have an arm, wholesales. Okay, so we're recruiting DealVault members who are interested in doing wholesales. If you're interested, please send us a message via the chat with your email or contact information. We're going to invite you to the meeting tomorrow, Tuesday, 6:30. Super important, guys. Right now, the team is comprised of 17 people as of right now. And we have the best wholesaler who is going to be helping us lead this team. So you're going to meet her tomorrow. Okay. Send us a message if you're interested in being part of this team. So great question, Eric. You always have to check if it's occupied. Do always cash for keys. Otherwise, if you cannot have possession of the property, you're going to have problems with the funding partner because you need an appraisal. You need to have your GC inside the property. You need to take possession of the property. So it would be very risky to buy a property sight unseen occupied because they can vandalize it. They can pretty much remove everything, stripe the whole thing inside. You don't want that, okay? Always do cash for keys. In fact, tomorrow, Tuesday, 6:30, we're going to talk about how we did the cash for keys. I'm going to show you the contract that we used, and that's going to be a use case tomorrow, 6:30. Hopefully you can join. Send us a message because that's an internal team. ChicagoDealVault wholesalers. We're calling them the inner circle. Okay, so hopefully you're interested in joining. Another question on the line. Okay, if you're interested, send us a message. So again, guys, Phil, please send the 30-day trial for people to have access to everything that I showed today. The promo code is going to be Rehab, okay? Get a 30-day trial. You don't have to pay anything for the next 30 days. Have access to everything, all the resources, okay? Including all our preferred partners so that you can take your real estate investment efforts to the next level. If you decide to join, it's going to be $140 a month. If you do the yearly, it's going to be $120 a month, okay? When you do the yearly subscription, you're going to have access to the shadow inventory, which is the bank-owned properties. That's the inventory we have been buying properties from, like left and right, because we're finding gems. We're finding home run deals. So we're pulling properties left and right from that list that I just showed you. And I want to make sure that you have access to that. So that requires a yearly membership, which you end up saving like 30% on a monthly basis when you join the yearly membership. Okay, so please get the access for free today for the next 30 days. I hope you enjoyed the webinar today. And again, I'm just going to quickly recap what I just said. You're going to need to walk the property and focus on light to medium rehabs. Check the kitchen and the bathroom. If it's less than 2,500 square feet, your rehab is going to run about $40,000. Okay, if you need to do kitchen and bathroom, floor, paint, obviously by default. Stay away from gold rehabs. Always have a $100,000 spread from the time you buy the property to what it should appraise for. The rehab should be less than $50,000. Always hire qualified contractors that are licensed, insured, that they do quality work on a timely manner, and they do it on their budget, okay? And we are giving them to you, okay? So you don't need to break your head. And that's thanks to Dr. Saeed, great recommendation. We're happy to share our resources with all of you. So thank you everyone for joining today. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow at 6:30 if you want to be part of the wholesaling team for ChicagoDealVault. And Wednesday, actually that's Tuesday. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about analyzing deals in seconds. So please make sure that you sign up for tomorrow's webinar. Tuesday is going to be wholesaling. Wednesday, it's going to be awesome. We're going to be talking about how to talk to owners, build rapport, and how to get properties off market on the contract. So I'm super excited about this week's topics. Thank you everyone for joining. We had an incredible crowd today. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, Monday, and for sure Tuesday. So send us a message if you're interested in the wholesaling team, okay?